All right. So after reading the first chapter of the political determinants of health, um, I would say that the first chapter, to me personally, was actually really interesting about the seeds in the farm. Some things, I think the story of like the farmer, or it says a farmer sought to acquire new land in hopes of establishing an or- orchard and thus including his wealth. On his journey, he came upon a plot that, though not perfect, he found suitable for his needs. One portion of the land was a bit rocky, another part of the land had poor soil, while a third part of the land had nutrient rich soil. Despite its flaws, he felt he could work with this land and establish a thriving orchard. So it kind of just like talks about the beginning, the middle, and it like within the middle it talks about the end, and then it talks about how, so if we are talking about the beginning, he starts off with the massive tree out of sight and 6 seeds in his pocket. The farmer was ready to cultivate his orchard. When spring arrived, the farmer readied his workers. Soon they began to see the seedlings emerge, but the results were not what the farmer had hoped for. Of the 2 seeds that were planted in the rocky area, one never germinated a plant, but the other one somehow grew despite its circumstances. The seedling was weak and feeble, but it seemed determined to survive. The 2 seeds in the poor soil both germinated, but one soon shriveled up after breaking the soil, and the other continued growing, managing somehow to pull what little nutrients it could from the depleted soil. The 2 seeds in the rich soil broke through the soil and began flourishing quickly, producing fresh, tender, and bright green leaves reaching up to the sun's warmth. Of the 6 original seeds, only 4 survived and matured into small trees, 2 in the nutrient-rich soil, 1 in the poor soil, and 1 in the rocky soil. So then it kind of just like goes to talk about like in the middle, like what happened. The farmer now had only 3 remaining trees, 2 in the nutrient-rich soil and 1 in the nutrient poor soil. Every few months, the farmer and his workers spray the trees with pesticides to prevent bugs from consuming the leaves. Nevertheless, the tree in the poor soil struggled. The farmer did not realize that the source of the tree's problem was underground, where bugs had begun to gnaw at the roots. Instead of conducting a thorough examination of this tree to figure out the source of its problem or providing what it needed when it needed it and in the amount it needed, the farmer determined it was not worth the extra investment to help this tree realize its optimal level of health. Had he thoroughly examined the tree, he would have been able to address the need of the tree and reap the benefits. The farmer, however, was hasty and otherwise preoccupied with the trees in the nutrient-rich soil. So then it goes to talk about in the end, essentially, furthermore, no thought was given to the one beautiful, then forgotten tree that had graced the horizon when the farmer originally arrived on the land. Essentially, it goes to talk about the lesson, and it talks about, like, things that could have happened in the beginning, the middle, and the end, what had happened with Hurricane Michael, and the conclusion. I think something in here is that we need to, when it comes to the health of nutrients and the health of our plants that provide us nutrients and so many other things, that we need to realize that it's good to prevent them up out of the ground, but then we kind of forget about the environmental determinants of health that can cause issues from underneath the ground. So like it says here, it says environmental determinants of health in certain geographic and demographic contexts aggravate these issues. Such effects have resulted in toxic sites, substandard plumbing, polluted air, waters, and lands, and insufficient access to fresh and nutritious foods. Because of political determinants, population groups have been pushed into geographic areas unsuitable for sustaining life, resulting in significant and lasting impact of their health and well-being.